All right, all right. How is everyone doing? Good evening, Arjit, Shatij. How you doing? I know you're waiting for me. Sorry about that. I was waiting for Gabe to join. He's not ready yet, but he should be fairly soon. But since we got some people waiting, we might as well go ahead and get started. So, hope that you're all doing absolutely wonderful where you're at. Hope you're all feeling well. And if you're not, if you're a little bummed out, I'm hoping that me and Gabe can provide, and Boring Land can provide you with a few smiles and a little bit of humor. So before we get officially started with Sacred Games Season 2, and we will once Gabe gets here. Hello, Jody. Long time no see. I just want to start off with the question. There's only a few of us here, so we might as well let you answer the question first. I'll probably ask this question a few more times in the live stream. I am curious which mornings, because it's night for us right now. Right now it's Wednesday evening. I think it's Thursday morning for you. Which mornings would be best for you all for our live streams? I kind of want to get a regular day schedule going on, like whether it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Wednesday, Fridays, Wednesday, Thursdays, whatever it is. Let us know. For us, Monday night is still our Cricket Tuesday video. And Sunday, is family day, so I don't want to do a live stream on Sunday. Arjit says the weekend. Now, that brings me another question. So would it be morning is best for our Indian audience, or would the evening be better for our Indian audience? We did our first live stream was on Saturday. For us, Saturday morning. So for you all, it was Saturday night. Gabe says he's having some technical difficulties. He'll be here in a second. Is the morning better for you or the evening? Let me know in the comments here, and I will keep track of that. I'll ask that question maybe one more time when we have a few more people here. Let me know. Shatij says right now mornings are same as we are all locked down. Yeah, I heard that's wild. I actually saw a video, a very short one, from, I believe it was someone from the CDC or the World Health or something like that, giving mad props to India for being ahead of the game when smallpox was ravishing the world and when polio was ravishing the world, on how India was there at the forefront creating medicines and creating, I want to say, whether it was either vaccines or cures for those ailments. So hopefully India can lead the charge again. I know you guys are on your lockdown right now. Still wondering, like here in the States, most of us adults, we wake up anywhere from 6 a.m. to about 9 a.m. if you don't have work. And, we go to bed anywhere from 9 to midnight or so. I think it's a little different of a schedule for our Indian audience. Let me know more about that. Arjit says before 7 on weekdays, if not weekends. So is that before 7 a.m.? Oh, they're right there, evening. Okay, so before 7 in the evening. So that's a little earlier for us. Maybe we can try that. I always figured that a little later on the weekdays was better for y'all. Oh, but that's evening, so that would be our mornings. Yeah. Mornings would be a little tough for us just because we still work. Even though we're working from home, we still have our work obligations, but maybe a shorter live stream to see how that goes. So I hope you're all excited for Sacred Games Season 2. I have lots to say about this season. I was definitely very excited about Season 1. Talking about that was very enjoyable for me because Season 1 was awesome. The first part of Season 2, our last live stream, I was very excited to talk about that because I was surprised at how much I was enjoying the season when I heard a lot of bad things about it. Season 1, it was a global appeal. Everyone was loving it. Season 2, there was a lot of hate for it. So I was interested and a little anxious to start Season 2, but I really enjoyed the first half. You'll hear my thoughts once Gabe is available on how I feel about the second half of Season 2, because I was really riding a high on the first 4 episodes. And like I said, I kind of cheated a little bit and I watched the 5th episode before we did that live stream, even though I didn't mention any spoilers from it. Let me know, another question. Let me know for you, what first half or second half of season 2, which of those was your better one? Here's Gabe. Let's get him on. But let me know the answer to that question. Hey, Gabe.
What's up, bro? Sorry about the delay, technical difficulties.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I was trying to get the little upgrade over here, the snowball, but unfortunately I could not connect it to the Microsoft Surface Pro because it's well, I don't know how to explain it. It's a laptop, but not really. I don't know if you know what a Surface Pro is.
Yeah. Does it have a port for the USB?
Does not have a USB port, so I was trying to use it on my other computer, but that one doesn't have Google Chrome, and StreamYard would not open up on what's the other one running? Like the Internet Explorer.
Oh wow, we got to get that figured out, because all you gotta do is just download that browser and you're good to go. But yeah, Gabe, what he's saying is he got the white snowball, the same as the microphone I have, so he can get better hooked up from his home studio there. I was just asking, yeah, we're totally judging, Lara. I was just asking what they thought about either the first half of season 2 or the second half, and the few answers are coming in right now. Arjit says he liked second season, but the ending sucked for him. Okay. Garav says that he likes the second half of season 2 better. I say we jump right into our thoughts for season 2, episodes 5 through 8. I'm itching to get to it, and I know our viewers, there's 10 of us in here. Thank you all for showing up. We really didn't give much of a warning besides the end of the live stream yesterday, so we appreciate you noticing us on YouTube and checking out. Shaitan says he liked the whole season. So we are on episode 5, or technically episode 13, called Vikarna. And Vikarna is the second oldest Kaurava and the only person to stand against the Shir Haran of Draupadi. How many words can I mess up? For immorality. And this is so he's the second oldest and the only person to stand up for morality. And so in this episode, and I love this episode. I absolutely loved episode 5. I was holding back the smile when I was mentioning that I cheated, and I went ahead on our last stream. And there's so much that goes on in this episode. But basically the connection, and this is, again, I'm getting this information from the meaning of the titles from GQ. I think it's India GQ. And this is written by Varutika Shah. And this was published in September of 2019. And so they say that the Guruji is what they think maybe is the Vikarna, according to Dilbagh Singh. So Dilbagh Singh is the father of Sartaj, and he tells Sartaj at one point that the Guruji is Vikarna, but the website says that they think it's Sartaj and Ganesh because they both eventually will see the immorality in the Guru's plan. And they claim that in this episode, they feel like both of them, especially Ganesh, when he was Ganesh, when he was hearing the plan, they felt like he was already having a problem with it. Yeah.
Do me a favor. I'm going to try to log in on my other computer right now. I'm going to log out here. Click me back over in about 30 seconds.
All right. Just use the same link. All right. So episode 5, like I said, I absolutely loved episode 5. And let's just talk about a few things that I loved about it, talking about episode 5. So in that episode, Gaitande is at the ashram for good. He has left. He has turned his back on the Madam Yadav, and he's there for good. He commits himself, and he forgives Zoya for her trespasses fairly quickly. Jojo calls and asks for her forgiveness. She owed her a favor, and he says, okay, whatever. He definitely is drinking the Kool-Aid, and he admires the guru completely. He calls him his third father. The love scenes where we're mostly tasteful, but insane to see someone like him and as macho as he is to have no problem in drinking that Kool-Aid and being with other men. Because in this episode, you have, here's Gabe right here. In this episode, you have Ganesh, and the guru is telling him, we're going to control lovemaking, and it's not going to be this of the flesh. We're just going to accept it for what it is. And we see Gaitonde there with another guy, and he just seems completely at peace with it. I mean, I was just telling them how Gaitonde in this episode is definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. And that whole lovemaking scene, the whole orgy scene, I guess we can call it, it kind of took me to The Witcher a little bit. I was like, man, this is crazy. But I mean, this guru, he's just got all these people convinced that he knows what's best for him.
Yeah, that was a weird scene for me. Like, I did not expect that out of Gaitonde, but it is what it is. It's was the creative I guess the creator of the show felt he wanted to take him there just to show how much Gaitonde is been convinced by this guru that he is the way, he's following him, how much he's bought into this cult. And somebody with a personality even as flashy as Gaitonde can still be manipulated and can be he can basically be what's the word I'm looking for? I can't. I can't. Brainwashed. There you go. Can be brainwashed. You know what I mean, dude? But it's one of those situations, man, where I was watching this, like, this doesn't really fit with his character. You know what I mean? But they did. They went for it. I was shocked at how easily he just basically gave the actress a pass who
Zoya,
set him up.
Yeah,
Zoya a pass simply because Jojo asked. He said, all you got to do is ask. If you ask, as long as you ask, that's good enough for me. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? She almost got you murked, man.
They have a relationship that I'm not going to try to act like I'm so smart to understand. I don't fully understand that relationship because it's definitely love-hate. It's more love on his side, definitely a lot of hate on her side. She acts many different times throughout this season like she can care less about him. And there's a few small glimmers where she actually shows herself, and you think, okay, well, maybe it's just a facade. Maybe she does like him to a certain point. She acts like she can't stand him whatsoever, but she comes to him very vulnerable. And he's in such a Zen-like place that he just completely, and I just mentioned it before you came on, completely forgives her. And to me, that shows that he personally, I feel like he is humbled by everything that's gone on, that he was stuck in his life, that he wasn't getting the notoriety he was wanting. And so he was willing to turn his life to the guru and do whatever he was saying to do. And he was going to fully commit. And even though I don't agree with joining a cult, I have to respect the commitment that he has because it's not easy to commit to any one thing. This episode has a lot of interesting stuff with the ashram. And then as far as the ashram story goes on, we hear about the guru's plan at the end, his plan for nuclear war and to destroy, not really, I mean, maybe the world, but the focus in India and destroy, what does he say, like 80 million people or something like that? So many lives because he says we got to reset and the world's a dangerous place. And the world is a dangerous place. The world is a crazy place, but it's also not a hopeless place. And so they're listening to that. And he tells, because he knows that this is a big pill to swallow, he tells his followers that are in the room, if you want to go, you can freely go, no questions asked. And so they do, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, he actually means it. And then you got Sartaj's father, who's in between here or there. He's on the fence. And then you see Malcolm get up, and he goes out the door. You already know what he's going to do. They're not going to go free and easy. I mean, they made the wrong choice. And so Dilbagh Singh, he is up and down because I think he fully trusts the guru, but now he's like, oh, this guy's crazy. And I like to think that Dilbagh Singh is a good character, but he decides to stay. He sticks it out. Ganesh is chosen as their messenger, their leader, which for someone like Ganesh who's broken, that's the best thing for him to hear. But it's brilliant by the guru to choose Ganesh because he wants to use someone of his ability and of his experience to carry out the plan so the guru doesn't have to compromise himself.
Yeah, see, but here's the thing. When I was thinking about this and I was watching it, I mean, Sartaj's father like willingly went on with this cult, you know what I'm saying? And not only after hearing that, you got to question his motivations as well, you know what I mean? I mean, I remember early on in season 1 how his mother, Sartaj's mother, was like, your father was an honest man and he would never, and now you're like, well, wait a minute, does she even really know who her husband was? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, with that being said, dude, I don't know, for once, like, I love the first season and I love the first part of this season, but right now that, you know, Gaitonde is like more in a subservient role, I do not like it, you know what I mean? And I don't like the fact that, like, how could you just allow, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it, man. Like I always figured he was stronger willed than that, but no, he's just right along with the rest of the followers. And later on, we find out that, you know, other people think the same thing. You know what I mean? And I'm alluding to the last episode, but they're just like, yeah, you just, you know, another follower. So I'm like, oh,
yeah, don't get too ahead of the game there. But I actually liked that decision by the showmakers to show, because no one person in the world is all the way awesome or all the way horrible or all the way good and without faults. And so this definitely shows, now obviously he has faults, but this shows his lack of self-confidence. And I feel like one thing that everyone has in common in the world is a lack of self-confidence. I can't think of anyone who has complete self-confidence. There are some that are really good at masking that, some that are really good at fooling others, and there are some that are definitely more deprived of self-confidence than others, but everyone has that issue. And again, he was just brought down to humility in every forefront. He thought that movie, as desperate as it was definitely going to remind people how awesome he was. And, oh, yeah, we love Gaitonde, but nobody cared. And so he completely turned to this guru. And like you said, I mean, he just completely submitted, and the guru knew exactly how to do it. And for the biggest thing with Gaitonde is he wanted a sign from the guru. He wanted to say, what am I thinking right now? What's going to happen? If you're so smart, tell me. And every single time the guru was able to fool him. The guru was able to use his intelligence to make him think that he knew what he was thinking. Right. And he just totally trapped him in that. But in this episode, I was telling them before you got on, I love this episode. In this episode, it's not just Gaitonde's story that I'm interested in, it's also Sartaj. So Sartaj is starting to withdraw. It's good for him. He's withdrawing from the pills he was taking, the Gochi. And I was so happy with him being able to refuse the pills, but right. Eventually he gets busted after he goes after Bombsal too strongly. I still don't understand the Bombsal character. He's taken by Parolkar, and then Parolkar is backing off and now, you know, saluting him and whatnot and apologizing. I'm not really sure what happened there. I was confused with all that, but in the same part, you have Sartaj. He becomes benched because they notice that he's taking drugs in his drug test or whatever. But eventually he comes face to face with Malcolm. Malcolm tells him to follow in his father's footsteps, and then Malcolm takes his own life. So I thought, well, that was kind of anticlimactic, because I want someone go after Malcolm, not have Malcolm just take his own life.
Let me stop you right there. Your boy Sartaj is a horrible cop. Once again, I was gaining some respect for him, you know, and then, bro, Malcolm could have popped them really easy if he wanted to. He got the drop on him once again. And I get it. He's coming off the drugs or whatever. But when will this guy, like, I don't need him to be super cop, but I need him to be a competent cop, okay? And they always get the drop on him. I thought Malcolm was going to ice him right then and there. Done. Good night, bro. But I guess he's just a bigger character, and we can't have
gotten the drop on everyone. Is there anyone in that police force or in that government force that understands what's happening? None of them do. Sartaj, I love his character because he is so relatable. He is so fallible. He makes mistakes. I'm so sick and tired of these movies and these TV shows where, you know, the cop or the secret agent is untouchable. He can do whatever he wants. He walks in, walks out, no problem. I mean, sometimes it's laughable. This guy falls down. This guy makes mistakes, but his instincts is what is the most important thing in his character. His instinct told him to get out of that car, even with his broken thumb, and he's being benched and whatever. He got out of that car and he followed Malcolm into that alley. No one else was going there. No one else knew what was going on.
Right.
And so, and we know in season 1 that he never really got a chance to be a cop because they kept benching him, so to speak, as well. Right. So I love this character because they don't have him do some bad things in the first episode that automatically he's awesome the rest of the series. Right. He is slowly progressing. And as we get to the end of the season, I feel like that progression has led him to make some of those better decisions on that last episode. But
Bro,
we're focusing too much on this episode. Go ahead.
Quick question. Did we skip over, and I'm pretty sure we did, again, talking about how Malcolm is a gangster, how Malcolm went to the government lady's house, set the thing on fire, kills her husband.
That was an awesome scene. Wasn't that great? How Anjali and Yadav, they were ready to go. They knew what was going on, and they were going around their house. They weren't even stunned by the fire that was in the middle. They were just trying to take out everyone. That was a cool scene. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for Yadav, but I had a lot of respect for that character in that scene.
Bro, Malcolm is a straight gangster. That's what I'm saying. Like, for me, that was not the end I expected for Malcolm after we seen how formidable he is and how many bodies he's caught. Like,
very
why take himself out? It was very anticlimactic. You're right. So, but anyway, I didn't want to gloss over that part. But yeah, that's pretty much this episode in a nutshell. Anything else important from this episode we missed?
No, that was the last thing I wanted to mention was about how Yadav and Anjali went out like a boss there, and they did the best they could. There's a question here from Shatij. He says, what is the difference between Pankaj Tripathi's performance in Mirzapur in this show? So I'll start off. So in Mirzapur, he's a completely different character. In this show, he is completely committed to being that smile on his face. I know what's going on. Very collected. In Mirzapur, he's very calm as well. I feel like he's always calm in all his roles besides Stree. He's a little more frantic in that role.
I know all things.
But they're still completely different characters. And it was really cool to see that digression, I guess, those differences, that contrast is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Because both these shows relatively came around the same time. So he's got his involvement in both these shows in some very large roles. And I thought he did a good job. But I'm going to go ahead a little bit to the end of one of my thoughts for the end of the season. I feel like, as interesting as that character was, I feel like that was a misfire to have this season focus so much on the guru. For me at least, the character didn't pan out enough, and it wasn't enough interest to follow 8 episodes on this character's story.
Right.
But that's just my personal opinion.
Look at the comments. Avicii Chan says a little bit too much Guru G, right? I agree.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even notice that. Awesome.
I agree. The difference between Guru G in this and then in Mirzapur Tripathi is the demeanor. Okay. In Mirzapur, he is a boss. He's a businessman, calculating, but he is not, without what's the word? He's not without morals, so to speak. It's all about business for him. Where here you could figure out Guru G's a nut. Okay. You want to start a war and kill everyone because the war is what? The world is bad. I mean, his it doesn't even make sense. And then on top of that, he gives you kind of like this creepy molester, sexual predator kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like vibe, man. The guy, would you leave your kids around him? No.
But I didn't take that vibe from him. I took him as mind control. His whole end game was the nuclear war. That was his entire end game. And as we get to a later episode, we get a whole lot of information on his past and where he gets that end game from. But I feel like everything he does is to make sure he has people in place that will not question his orders and that will carry those things out. And so, I mean, he's definitely creepy. He's definitely got that weird smile at all times. But he's got an end game, and I don't think his end game is anything like a molester, but more like
that's just the vibe you get out of him. Obviously, that's not what happens moving forward in the season. But all right, moving on to episode 6.
All right. So episode 6/14, Azrael. In Islam and the Jewish traditions, Azrael is the angel of death. Gaitande is the one to bring about Guruji's plans. So, and also, you could also think about the Azrael as the book that the Guruji has written that has a whole plan mentioned in it. And also, according to this website, it could be referring to Sartaj if he decides to join the ashram in the present day, because he gets approached. He meets up with Bhatya, and he takes the Gochi, and he's got his own demons that he's struggling with. The thing I will say about Sartaj's character that is lacking is that we we don't get too much on what he's thinking. We don't get too much on what his motivation is besides solving a crime. And we see in these flashbacks that he's still tackling the issue with his father and whether his father was someone good or bad. He's tackling the issue with Gaitonde and why did he choose him. But I would like to know a little more about what he's feeling. We get a lot on the ex-wife, and that's fine, but I'm not really interested in that relationship too much. I'm more interested on what is his motivation. Does he go to the ashram because he's investigating, or he's trying to find out more about his dad, or what? I wish we could have got a little more information on that, but he goes there and he is starting to investigate that. This episode was just okay for me. They, the Guruji and Gaitonde, they definitely get more meshed in their relationship.
Right.
Then the guru just pieces out. Doesn't die, he just disappears. Right. We think he dies for a second, but he's not. I'm not sure why he pieces out. I'm not sure if he's going to be the puppet master to see if he can trust these people. And if they're not doing what he wants, then he'll make that step forward. But Bhatya comes in and she takes over that leadership role. And then you got the Gaitonde where he goes back home. He's messing with Bunty, which I thought was really funny and comical, how he was calling him up and Bunty was getting frustrated.
Like, why would he even do that? But he's always treated Bunty like a little brother, kind of, you know what I mean? So he's like, oh, my movie failed. Well, guess what? Your show sucks, but he's masking his voice. So Bunty doesn't even know who it is. I thought that was super funny too. And I think that's what this season to me was missing a lot of, where in season 1, we got his relationship with his boys. And I know a couple of his boys have died since then, but we don't get that much in season 2 where we get a little bit of his humor, even if it's dark humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and Bunty, when we see him in the first season from Sartaj's and the police's point of view, he's a guy you don't mess with. I mean, he's a dangerous guy, even if he is in a wheelchair. But when you see him with Gaitonde, I mean, he still has that respect for him. He still bows down to him, so to speak. That is, it's really interesting to see that contrast. But that was really funny. It was interesting. I didn't notice the older makeup on Nawaz as much in season 1 when he was that older character as I do in this season. I'm not sure if they laid it on thick, but he definitely looked older. He definitely looked like time had passed him by.
Yeah, it was 13 years once he came back.
Right, but we see him in Sartaj's time in the episode 1, right?
Right.
Not for a long time, but we see him talking to him. But I just noticed it a lot here. As the episode goes on, I'm just reading my notes. He realizes how massive the project is, and eventually he wants out.
That's why I was shocked you said that this is your least favorite episode, because you're always looking for that, the arc, right? The redeeming character. And it's like, I actually like this part of it because finally he's no longer under Guruji. He's back to being Gaitonde. He stands for what he believes in. And ultimately, he was a gangster because it was a way of life, okay? He wanted to make money. He wanted to be notable. But he's not a straight madman just trying to kill people, which, now he figured out that's Guruji's plan. He wants no part of it, right? So I think that was his redemption, his redeeming quality, which I know you're always looking for. So I was like, wow, really? This was your least favorite episode?
Well, when I say that, there wasn't, I don't want to say a lot of meat because that's disrespectful, but there wasn't a lot of content in this episode. Right. There was a lot of kind of standing around and being reflective. I liked the part that he, said, forget this plan, because I put in my notes that he's a patriot after all. Right. And he even says, I'm not sure if it's this episode or the next episode, he says, I don't care if you want to attack this city or that city, anywhere in India, I don't care, but not Bombay, not where I'm from, not my home. It's just not going to happen. He still feels like he is the king of that place and you're not going to mess with it. And so I did like that. I like that he decides that he's a patriot of at least Bombay. But there just wasn't a lot going on in this episode, I guess is what I meant to say. I like that we got to see how he builds that bunker and he stockpiles everything up. But the thing that was confusing to me is, why is that bunker not underground, more hidden? I mean, it's in a random place from what it looks like, just outside, just this random concrete building. Okay, something's going on in there. Well, why not have it more hidden?
He said it was like Bunty's club or whatever. That was a failed club. So I'm assuming if it's going to club, it's going to have a entrance up top. But he built it basically as a bunker. Gotcha. And as a makeshift bunker, and because he also knows, which shows you how formidable what's the serial killer?
Malcolm.
Malcolm is, because he's like, Malcolm's coming after me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
he's terrifying.
when
Yeah.
he's worried about Malcolm, that's why I cannot believe they gave Malcolm that unceremonious end. I was so mad when that happened.
Well, not just that, but we don't see, and this isn't really a spoiler because I'm guessing everyone in here has seen the season. We don't see Malcolm ever come after Gaitonde. And I thought that was a big misfire for the show. I know you have to have him alive for him to end with Sartaj, but I'd rather him have ended in a fight with Gaitonde than with Sartaj. We see him go after Sartaj a few times. He cuts off his thumb in episode 8 of season 1. He goes after him and then he kills himself. Again, Malcolm's end was so anticlimactic because they build him up to be this informable foe that no one can take on. You want to see your two Goliaths go after each other.
I agree.
So it was a misfire.
That's what I thought. But anyway, this episode to me, it showed his humanity. Like you said, he's a patriot and he does love his home, and he ends up going back even though he knows what's going on or whatnot. He calls to try to get a hold of Guru G, and now you see that Bate's character doesn't want to let him talk to Guruji. He's like, oh, he's not here. Nobody can talk to him. Rivalry. She hangs up on him. Yeah, rivalry going up. Like, the two class pets. You know what I mean? Who's going to be the
daddy's affections?
Exactly. And towards the end of the episode, you see her go to Guruji and say, well, your elephant's out of control or something like that. So she's going to go and tattle. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, she's such a snake. I hate her so much. But you know what? She's done a good job.
Yeah, no, she's a really good actress. And someone said she was underused. I thought she was used enough in this show. She's very likable as far as an actress goes. She's annoying in this show, I think. But I completely understand her point of view because they are so close to that end game. I mean, this has been building for so long. I forget what they call it, like Sutra Yaga or something like that. They've been waiting so long for this period to happen. And the person who's supposed to be the commander of this whole plan is saying, I want to speak to him right now or I'm done with this whole thing. That would be pretty alarming. And I'm surprised the guru doesn't freak out more. He's so confident. He's just like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
I'll talk to him. Basically, is the thing. I'll take care of him. I've got him, I'm the puppet master. I have him, in my web. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Anything else important happen this episode? Like you said, a lot doesn't happen. Conversation. He does finally meet up with his entire old crew that's still left there. Cool.
I like to see Matthew with his, he's got little hair left, and they did a good job with the makeup on all those guys.
What's the lady's name? I forget her name. The one that was original part of his crew, and he comes back and he says, "Oh, I thought you'd be dead by now."
Oh, yeah.
And she says, "Yeah, I'm gonna outlive you."
Did you miss me at all? Not at all.
And those interactions is what was missing. You know what I mean, from this season, I should say in general. I love the first season and his interaction with his crew on the day-to-day basis. Him, Bunty. I can't remember the name of the two Muslim brothers that he ends up killing in season 1, but here you basically just had him and his one boy from the very first. I can't pronounce his name. Mukata from season 1. Remember the one that ends up in Africa with him.
Matthew,
right? Matthew, and that's it. You know what I mean? All the other characters are like just, I don't know, background or whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much this episode.
All right, so episode 15, Torino. I love that title because it makes me think of that awesome movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. That is such a good movie. But Torino, aka Turin, is the city situated in the Piedmont region of northwestern Italy, and it's rumored to have magic involved there. There's 2 rivers in Turin that symbolize, and they form a Y. They symbolize the duality of man, good versus evil. And so we have both leads in this episode fighting with their own duality of good versus evil. Do I join the ashram? Do I not? Do I join this plan? Do I not? They're both going through that. I personally don't buy Sartaj's conflict with that choice. I personally don't. I was waiting for him to be like, surprise, I got you. I'm just here to infiltrate you and get information. But I don't feel like that's what was happening. So I don't really buy that too much. But that Torino alludes to the decision they have to make. And then one thing that I guess would somewhat explain Sartaj's motivation is he's coming off that Gochi. So the parent really kicking in. And so obviously he's not going to be in his right mind. But what are your thoughts about episode 15/7?
Dude, my boy Gaiton Day became Gaiton Day again. I loved it.
Great episode.
I
Great
loved
episode.
it. You know, he goes to meet at the very beginning of the episode. He goes to meet with Guruji. And you know, because Guruji, like you said, he thinks I got this handled. I'll just talk to him and whisper sweet nothings into his ear, and he's gonna do what I tell him to do. And Gaiton Day, like you said, tells him, listen, anywhere else but Mumbai, they get into a little argument. It's funny because he starts telling Gaiton Day about how he killed his own wife and he killed all his wives, and basically it's all his fault what happened to his wife, what happened to Cuckoo. Then he killed his mother. You know, he's just saying how he's destructive basically to everyone in the world, that in his world, everyone who's around him. And then he gets Gaiton Day worked up, and I don't think he expected happening what was going to happen, but that's why my boy Gaiton Day came back. I love it. And
that was awesome. That was I mean, he was just I am. I mean, and it was crazy how like they had the GoPro angle of him going around and the way he was thinking, and like the lighting changed until it didn't go back until he gets back to his bunker. But yeah, that was I mean, long time coming for sure.
In my head, I was like, did he really kill him, or was this in his head? Because you know he's on the gochi or whatnot, or coming off the gochi. So did this really happen? But no, he killed him, bro.
Okay, but let's talk about that for a second. There's no way you get suffocated by a book. I'm sorry, there's no way, because there's too many cracks with the spine and everything. There's no way you can fully, unless you have one whole flat end on there. And I'm not trying to have a tutorial on how to suffocate someone. I wouldn't have no idea. But for me, at least, that kind of took me out a little bit. It was just like, at least have it like on one side of the book, not in the middle of the crack where the spine's at. But anyways, it was cool to see that happen. The greatest thing that revealed that we got to answer our question from our last live stream, who is Trivedi? We find out in this episode who Trivedi is. And Arjit, you were correct. It's not that little spineless guy that we see dead at the end of season 1. It's who?
Whoa. It is, isn't it?
No.
He ends up in the basement.
No, remember, he's watching his movie. Gaiton Day is watching his own movie that he made that bombed. And then Sartaj, he needs to find out more about his dad. And he is trying to find out where this book is at, because he's got his mind all messed up with the ashram and Bhatya. So he breaks into the evidence locker. Right. That was a cool scene, how he's way out of it, but he's fighting off these guys getting out of there. Gets the guy's gun from behind him and gets his way out. But he sees that movie in the evidence locker. So he watches it. And in the movie, they refer to Gaiton Day's father as Trivedi.
Oh, yeah.
And he realizes that his father is Trivedi, that Trivedi won't die. His father's not going to. His father's been alive this entire time, is this way old guy living out in some village who's had the book the entire time.
Right.
So we find out that he's Trivedi.
Okay, so now I'm confused, because I thought that Trivedi, remember how, well, we're jumping ahead to the next episode, but all right, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later.
I think the other guy was referred to as Trivedi as well, but not the one that Gaiton Day was mentioning when he says everyone will die but Trivedi.
Oh, there's 2 Trivedis. Okay, I got you. Because I was like, in the subtitles, it also said Trivedi, so I was just thinking that was his father. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So I love this episode a lot, because there's a lot that we finally get information on. Not just the Trivedi thing, but the fact that Gaiton Day felt bad for his dad, so he sent him the book. His dad is just like, I don't care about this book. You can go ahead and take it, Sartaj. It means nothing to me. There's even a note in 4. He's like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. That guy means nothing to me. There's so much that we learn. We see the thing that I was confused about, really confused, and this is going way to the end of the episode, is Sartaj gets the book. He has it in his possession. He's walking to his car, and then these people pick him up. They're from the ashram. They're from Bhatya. How in the world they could not find this book this entire time? How in the world do they know where to look unless they were following him or they had some kind of homing beacon on him? How do they know where he was going to be at to pick him up in the first place? Because they did not know where that book was at for all these years.
Got him again, bro. Your boy is such a bad cop, bro. How did he not know he was being followed? And then again, they throw the bag over his head. I mean, dude, this guy.
But the bag was pointless. You can see through it, for crying out loud.
They end up taking him back to the same temple, like he doesn't know where he's at.
The bag the entire time. What was the point of that?
I don't know. But I'm like, of course, that's I guess it's a plot device. It needed to happen basically because when he ends up getting back there, now he's confronted again with Bataya. I can never say her name. Batya. And dude, she's really conniving. She's turned really conniving. And their Guruji is dead, and you think that they would mourn him more and think, oh, this plan all failed. They like
the student has become the teacher, and she is still drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, she's still going to the fridge and saying, "Oh, there's still some Kool-Aid left. Let me drink some more."
she still wants to blow stuff up, man. She's just like, she's reckless, bro.
But again, she's committed to it. These people are psychotic, but they're committed to what they're committed to. I don't want to get into that whole, dangerous terrorist type conversation. I'm not trying to say I look up to those people, but the commitment, there's too many times in this world, people who feel about good things, they committed to good things that they don't follow through. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to go into in a dangerous place there.
Got you.
But this was an interesting episode. There was things that were revealed, but even when this episode ended, I'm like, okay, episode 8 better be awesome, because this is it that we have so far. And I feel like there's still so much more, not to mention the nuclear war. Like, are we ever going to get to that? Is that going to be brushed aside for the next season? Because it better not be, because it's been leading up to it. So that takes us into episode 8/16, Radcliffe. And the Radcliffe boundary is the demarcation line between India and Pakistan. Right. I wish I would have known that before I went into this episode. It makes a lot of sense. And then we get this. So we get this story. We get this flashback, 1947. And we see that Shahid Khan, who we haven't really mentioned at all in this review, he is the main bad guy of the Hizbuddin, and he's the one who's setting up the nuclear bomb. So obviously him and Guruji are in cahoots. And so, and not just that, but Gaitonde could have taken out Shahid Khan a long time ago, but chose not to. So that's an interesting choice.
Right.
And not just that, but Yadav wanted Shahid Khan taken out. So anyways, there's a lot of implications there. But we get this story about this girl who the family's escaping. I'm guessing they're escaping Pakistan or India during some kind of unrest time. I want to say 47 is close to the time that India got their independence. So maybe there was some craziness going on in that. But anyways, this girl's looking for her dog or something, goes out of her car, and she gets picked up by these people, kidnapped and taken.
Right.
We find out that one of those daughters is the mother of Shahid Khan. I didn't put the connection to it until I read this from the website, so I'm not going to take credit for this. But I didn't make the connection that Sartaj's mother, she looks at the picture for a second, she is the sister of that girl, or she is the girl that was taken away, but they are sisters.
Oh, wow.
So I did not. Khan and Sartaj are directly related in that connection.
I did not get that at all.
Neither did I. And I was thinking something along those lines because, again, they show Sartaj's mom looking at a picture. But was I supposed to get that from that? I don't know if there's other clues in there, but thank goodness for this article that led it to me, because that would have been interesting to know as I'm watching it, and a little more clarity on that fact.
Right, because they give it to you at the beginning, but you don't even know how it ties in, because right after that happened, it comes back to right to modern day, because our timelines had finally converged for the most part. We're almost right on top of each other. So I was like, how does this even fit? And I was confused about that. I was going to ask in the comments, but I guess you got the answer for me, so that'll work. Thanks, brother.
So this episode, I've got to say, it was interesting. It was entertaining. It was good TV, but it wasn't my favorite episode by far. There was, not just because of the way it ends, but this episode really, there's a lot that they rest on it. So in a show like this, where they give us basically nothing, they keep giving us confusing things for the first 6 episodes, a lot of questions, no answers, and they save all those answers for the last 2 episodes. Sometimes the first 14 episodes, no answers until here. You really got to deliver. And I don't feel like this episode delivered. It was very interesting. It reminded me of like a 24 type episode in some ways, but it fell flat for me because the whole JoJo story, I thought that was horrible.
I was so angry.
And that decision. Did you? Well, I mean, she was being a punk to him and she was ticking him off, but I don't buy that he would have taken her out.
Well, she would betrayed him the entire time. That's what I understood, right? She was betraying.
I don't even know if I believe that, though, because she's so standoffish and she's so rude to him and so hateful to him that I mean, maybe that's the point, that yes, she was in cahoots the entire time, but how do we know 100% that she's not just lying to him just to, poke at him some more?
I mean, for me, let's rewind a little bit, right? In the beginning of the episode, right, you have him down in his bunker, and his boy kidnaps the other Trivedi, basically brings him down there, and that's why I thought like that was a Trivedi that we were referring to, but I forgot we mentioned his dad was up in the mountains, was also Trivedi. Anyways, guy tries to poke him with the knife or whatnot. And he's like, don't ever start something you can't even finish. He dismisses him, goes to sit down on his computer, and the guy still tries to poke him with the knife. So they tie him up in the chair. So then the guy starts telling him, listen, who were you? You think you're the king, but you're not Amarasha. I can't remember the very first title from episode 1. You're not, I think the demon son is whatever it's called. You're basically Guru G's gopher. You're one of his followers. You're one of his disciples, but you're nobody. And he's talking smack to him while he's tied up in a chair. And here goes that Gaitonde rage, which I love. He grabs a crowbar and beats. Done. Good night, cousin. It's over for you. All right. And that was, again, I like that part because it showed that his character right away. Then after that, a whole scene happens. We figure out how he ends up in the basement there or whatnot. He ends up calling a number, and I'm like, who's he calling? He calls Isa, and Isa is like, oh, it's good to know that you're still alive. He said, come to Mumbai. It's hot out here, but the chicken is good or the meat is good, something like that. He said, and Gaitonde's like, you're going to protect me? You're dying of cancer. And he's like, I forgot what he said, something to the effect of, don't say it too loudly or, basically the gods will come after you or whatever. But he asked Isa, did you kill Sharuba? I cannot remember the name. And he said, I killed many a women, but I never killed Sharuba. I didn't kill Cuckoo. You did that yourself. And I'm like, holy cow. Like, you start realizing that everybody's been conspiring against him the whole time, including JoJo. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't buy it. And there's some good comments here, right here from Shaitan. He says that I think JoJo lied about betrayal because she wants to die, which makes a lot of sense because the entire time she's trying to kill herself, which we find out the reason why is because she feels so guilty for what she did to her sister, Mary, who they show a very short story earlier on about how her sister, they're both actresses that were failing. Her sister finally fell in love with a person in the industry. And so her career was finally starting to go forward. They were at a party. JoJo was so jealous about it that she starts sleeping with the boyfriend. And Mary finds out. And JoJo didn't expect Mary to commit suicide because of what she did. Took the header off the building.
She's torturing herself for all these years. She's been trying to take herself out because of her penance, but she can't do it. So I like that comment that maybe she lied because she wanted to die. But, and not just that, but when she's on the floor, she has a perfect chance to beg for her life if she wanted to still live. What does she do? She taunts him some more.
Yeah. Which goes back to episode 1. Now we're full circle. We've caught up to episode 1. And I'm like, oh, that's why he killed her. But still, I prefer your version of it, that she didn't betray him all this time and that there wasn't this whole elaborate hoax, because if it was, then Gaitonde, you can't kind of give him as much credit as we do. You know what I mean? They all pulled the wool over your eyes.
Not just that, remember the guru's in Nawaz's ears the entire time, telling him she's lying, they're lying, this or that. Don't listen to him. And he's just so frustrated that the voices in his mind, he's off the Gochi. I mean, his level of paranoia is at the highest. But still, even with all the explanation, it doesn't do enough to satisfy me with what happened, because I like that JoJo character a lot. But so we get to the end, and this is where I said it kind of was like a 24 feel, because you have Shahid Khan. He sets up the bomb. I mean, he does a whole Joker thing. He shoots up everyone that's on his side to make sure no one messes us up. This guy's committed. He goes to his table across the street, in the adjacent building, making sure that nothing happens. The police, they're torturing his right-hand man to get information. They find out where the bomb's at. They get there, and Shahid Khan is their sharpshooter. He's ready to take him out, which I thought was a brilliant plan. I really like that from the showrunners of the show, setting that up. This guy is not going to let anything happen. And then you have, the police coming in. Sartaj, he's finally out of the ashram. He's got somewhat of a clear head. He goes to help out. And I'm going to fast forward to the very end, and then you can backtrack as much as you want. But what I want to say is when Sartaj is there and everyone's left on the helicopter and they're gone. We tried. There's nothing we can do. We only have 5 chances, and we have no idea what the picture code is. Sartaj goes to the book and he sees all the pictures and he's looking at his dad. He's tried different ones. He's on his last chance. He sees his dad's. He sees Gaitonde's. I did like the fact that he had to choose. Would it be my dad? Which, if it is my dad's picture, why would that be? That's heartbreaking. Gaitonde's picture. Gaitonde tells him that Dilbag Singh is the only guy you can trust. And so he puts in the code for his dad's picture from the book. And then the episode just ends? Are you kidding me? I don't think you should do that to your audience. I honestly think that's a slap in the face. I'm not going to say that, they're being hateful. I don't like that decision. I think that's a weak and a cheap move. Let us know. Give us a sound. Give us something to let us know if that worked or not, instead of having to wait a year, or with this whole Corona nonsense, maybe 2 years until we get any kind of clarification. I mean, you got to be kidding me. They're going to end on that.
Bro, the last few shows that I've watched that I really, really like have ended on cliffhangers, and it drives me crazy. I know they want to build that intrigue for the next season, okay, but like, come on, are you kidding me? You're right, they should have given us something. But think about the Umbrella Academy on Netflix, okay? That ended on a major cliffhanger.
I'm not a fan of that kind of ending. I'm not. I
agree with you.
Give me a story. You've got to complete that story to a certain degree. I don't need to know what every single side character did after that. I don't need to see 20 years later. But if you start a story, I want you to complete a story, or at least tell me beforehand the story starts. This is a story that you're not going to get to the end to. Give me some, because I think that's messed up. I really do.
I could see the rage, because after I watched this episode and I finished it today. I was doing some running around, finished this today, and now I know what they're hate for. I don't think, because if you take it in a vacuum, forget about the last 5 minutes of the episode, but in a vacuum, this show does not deserve, season 2 does not deserve the hate it was getting, that it was bad. Was it as good as season 1? No, absolutely not. Okay. But seldom shows are. But what they did here, this is just like The Sopranos at the end. Does Tony get shot? Does he not get shot? And I don't know why.
You mention The Sopranos in every video we do, man.
Because that angers me. That was one of the worst endings of network television history, man. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Give us closure. We need closure. Okay. They might think, oh, let's do this. So like that, like that, they'll come back next season. But right now, next season may be a very long time if you haven't already finished filming this thing. You know what I mean? Because everything is delayed. But it did make me angry. I wanted to go back talking about JoJo for a minute, and something else that we kind of glossed over. And I mean, again, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, but again, one of the things that got me angry is we see where the money came from, right? And what does Gaitonde say? This is your insurance policy, basically. So I'm like, how could you betray him? You're the one person he trusts. Like, I was so angry about that reveal, but it's because they pulled the wool over my eyes and I didn't see it coming. So I hope that they just stick to their guns and say, no, she was, this is what happened. Don't go and backtrack it next season and say, because, you probably got some rage from the rest of the audience to say, oh, no, the whole time, she just doing it because she wanted to lie. She wanted to die, but she didn't betray him. She was loyal to him. Just let it be one of those situations where it is what it is. This is a choice you made. Go ahead and stick with it, because I didn't see it coming. I didn't think JoJo was going to betray him. Anybody but JoJo. As a matter of fact, in the end, the one person who told him the truth and one person who's trying to, like you said, protect him was Issa, his mortal enemy. And then he kind of like, I don't know, he just like lets Issa slide. Like, wow, that was just, I don't know.
We didn't get any kind. You're right. That's a great point. We didn't get any kind of closure on the Issa story. We find out he has cancer. Okay, can we at least get like a nugget that Gaitonde sent him some information, or sent him something that gave him radiation that gave him the cancer? They're saying in the comment section there is no season 3. Now, this is based on a book, right? I want to give credit to the book because this is where the whole story comes from. And overall, it is a great story. This is by Sacred Games, the book written by Vikram Chandra. And so I have not read the book, but they're saying that there's no season 3. That surprises me. Again, it's the whole Inception idea. Did he make it home? Did he not make it home? I'm not saying it's a bad film technique. I'm saying my personal opinion, I need to have a little bit of closure if I dedicate 8 hours, 16 hours of my life to a certain show.
Arjit with the super chat right there. Thank you, Arjit.
Arjit, let's see. It's up to us to decide if the world deserves saving. Arjit, I understand, but I can't. My mind is too small. It's unwilling to think that way.
But here's the thing: if this
Thank
is
you so much,
true,
Arjit.
and this is where the book ends, let it go right here, because we've already seen what happens with shows when showrunners run out of source material and then they try to do something creative, like think for themselves. And Game of Thrones season 8, thank you very much. Okay, dude. It's like they don't know where to go from it. So if this is it, then let it be it, because I could just see them ruining it. If this is all the source material they have, whenever they try to get too creative and think for themselves, man, they just ruin things. Especially if this is how the story was meant to end. I could see that. Where do we think the world deserves a chance? Because again, it's India, right? Pakistan would be. Think about it. They both have different allies. We're allies with India. China would get involved as well, right? Pakistan and China. So, I mean, it's going to turn into a global war. Everybody's going to die if you really think about it. So, it's not just even for Mumbai, if you think about it. It's for the whole world. I did like, by the way, look in the episode how originally they were telling people it was going to be, what was it, a hurricane or
Tsunami.
a tsunami? Like the government's lying. But what are they supposed to do? Oh, there's a nuclear bomb here.
What happened when the information got out? All chaos. Everything broke loose. There was traffic in the streets. I mean, didn't it remind you of just a small microcosm? Maybe our world's a microcosm of that. Our world hasn't gotten that bad yet. But I feel like the way and I like seeing the government officials argue with each other. Like, you failed, Joseph. I put you in charge of this and you failed. And he's like, what are you talking about? No one else could have saved this. We are trying the best that we can. Right. But if it was me, if I was in charge of the government, I would have told certain cities, I'm not sure how you keep it under wraps, but I would have told certain cities, you go for certain places, you go first and you go first, or I don't know how you would do it. Now, I do like this comment from Abe. He says, does a book have an ending? Someone read it because we want to know if what happened in the show happened in the book. That reminded me of something you would say. Someone read it and let me know.
There's another super chat up there from
I'll let you boy Shatij.
What do you guys think the main reason for the season not being that good is? For me personally, I think that you got away from Gaitonde's character when you started having him be this subservient guy early on, or not early on, but after he meets Guruji, but he redeemed himself at the end. Okay. The last 2 episodes, he kills Guruji, he kills Trivedi in the bunker. You see who Gaitonde is once again, that gangster we fell in love with in the first season. However, why do people not like this season? The ending, man. People need closure, especially if this is it. Like, oh, come on.
So let me tell you some of my reasons. So we'll get to our grade and then we'll get to this question a little more in depth. So as far as a grade, now I'm going to grade just season 2. Season 1, I thought was fantastic. I loved just about everything about it. This season, I really enjoyed episodes 2 through 5 quite a bit. 6 and 7 weren't bad. Again, episode 8 was entertaining. And someone mentioned earlier that Sartaj's father's pattern was the actual Radcliffe line between India and Pakistan. So I thought that was pretty cool. So if the episode's called Radcliffe and that was the Radcliffe line, then we were supposed to assume that, yes, he saved the city. That was the correct pattern. So I liked that comment. Thanks so much. There was a few people that made that comment. But for me, this season is not as good as season 1. I don't think this season is crap, like we were told many times, and they use different words than crap, words that I don't usually like to say. I'm not old enough to say it. But this season is not that. This season still is forward thinking. This season still has a lot of depth to it. It has a few characters that we focused on, some minor characters. But my biggest problem with this season is, and it goes back to season 1 too, because they start everything off in season 1. I don't feel like the characters that we spent so much time with got the rightful exit. I'm talking about Malcolm. I'm talking about Guruji. I'm talking about Bhatia. I'm talking about Gaitonde, even though we know what happens to him in the first. I'm talking about Jojo. There's so many characters that we spend so much time with and that we get their backstories and we're invested in, and they either have no ending to their story or the ending is just not good enough, in my opinion. And I am such a character person. Everything is character driven for me. That's where it lets down. And that goes to the answer to Shatish's question. Thanks again for that super chat. We really appreciate that support. But That's for and Issa. We don't get any kind of conclusion on this guy besides, oh yeah, he has cancer. I feel like if I was writing this story for the movie or the show, I would feel disappointed in myself that I went out that way, that I went out in a cheap way because I wanted to focus on this element and that element, and I just kind of pushed the other things to the side. I don't mind if every character doesn't have an arc, but if you're going to have me focus so much time on a character, I want it to be worth it, you know?
Right. Well, I think that ultimately we did get to see an arc, but it was not the wrong arc, but the person that you didn't expect. The arc we did end up seeing at the end of the day was Gaitonde. All right. He went from this gangster that just cared about himself, wanted to be famous. You know, at one point, even when he first goes to India, he starts working for I forget her name, the government lady out of right. She's talking about how he should help her because they're trying to stop this terrorists from attacking India. And he's like, India's not my problem. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? And now to the end where, no, not in Bombay, not my home. You know what I mean? So he had that arc there. He, yes, I'm a gangster. Yes, I've killed tons of people, but I'm not a kind of guy who just am going to kill blindly and murder millions or let millions die, basically. So he had an arc there. For me, I think the story's incomplete, but I cannot be... I've killed so many, and I'm going back to being a comic book fan here. I've killed so many directors when they stray away from the source material, okay? Because they want to put their own spin on it, or they don't like the ending themselves, or they don't like the character arc. So if this is true to the book, then you got to respect that. He's being the director's being true to the original novelization. Obviously, people liked it enough to get it greenlit to become a movie, or not a movie, but a series, right? So I respect that. Is it the ending I prefer? No, I think we all need closure. However, I do agree with you, Nick. Come on. You build up some of these characters so big, and they had unceremonious endings for the most part, most of them, that I'm like, really? Come on, Trivedi. I wanted to know more about Trivedi, and we find out the one Trivedi in his basement was just one of the other guys from the cult that was trying to get there to get the book or whatnot. He ends up killing him because he starts talking smack to him, and then we got Trivedi, who's his father, who is off away. We find out that which was interesting as well, and I don't even think they came back to touch on that his father, who he thought was his father, his first father, right? The holy man wasn't even his father, you know what I mean? And he agonized so much about that because he ended up killing his mom because his father was, or his mom was a floozy, right? And that could have used a little bit more closure. I just felt that there were a lot of loose ends. That's why.
Why do you say his father was not his father? I didn't pick up on that.
Well, because his father, remember the guy in the
priest, right?
He called the priest. Yeah. That was his father, or at least he kept calling him his father. But that wasn't his real father. He was the bastard child of the other Trivedi.
No, the other Trivedi is that same priest guy.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, let us know in the comments, but that's the way I understood it, that the other Trivedi, so his priest father, we always just assume that he went to jail for the rest of his life. He died in jail or something, but he actually survived. They mentioned that a few times. He was just in jail. He always visits him in this season imaginarily, and his father's like, you sent me here. You were the one that killed your mom and all that kind of stuff. You should be here, not me. But he survived through all that. Eventually, he got out of jail. So that's the way I understood it, that was his father. That was Trivedi, but he just never died after Gabe killed the mom. He went to jail because of it.
Did we watch both seasons back to back? No. In between both seasons, we saw The Family Man, and then we saw what was the other one, Nick? Mizapar. Right.
Come on, man.
So
come on.
I know Mizapar. Old Guy's his real father. See, the old guy's his real father. So they're two different people. At least that's what I understood.
Yeah, that's the old guy. That's the priest. That's the priest grown up, all older.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
All right, so I only ever got to my grade. So my grade for season 2, I'm going to give it a solid B because I liked a whole lot of it. I really did. The acting is fantastic. The characters are good. I don't like the way they got ended. I do like the Sartaj character in that story arc. If he does save the day, then look at that. This bumbling guy that you keep making fun of, he saved the day. He was able to sacrifice himself, even though he's still withdrawing, and he's going back and he's trusting his father. He's trusting what Gaitonde said. Dilbag Singh is a guy you can trust. I wanted more information on Dilbag Singh too. I got nothing on what he was doing at the Astron this entire time. I wanted to see him do something, and so I wasn't too happy about that. So for me, it's a solid B.
I'm right around you. I'm gonna give it a B minus. Again, some of those loose ends really kept it from being better, but Gaitonde's acting is amazing. Even Guruji, to see him play Tripathi and Mizupar to now this character here, like again, this creepy cult leader, manipulative dude, like this guy's got some acting range, man. I'm telling you. I said it's not the kind of guy I'd leave alone with my kids. All right, he's super, super creepy, super, super weird. He did a good job with that. I enjoyed the character who played Batalha. I know we saw her before in Gully Boy as well. She did a really good job. I think she was underused a little bit, but you know, for me, it kept from being an A because you got to give us closure, and we did not get closure on so many storylines. If you guys are correct that it was the line between Sartaj's father and Pakistan, so that was the correct code, then okay, you know, maybe it gets bumped up to like an A minus, but as it stands, for me right now, it's a B minus.
Oh, you went below me. All right. I'm not always the hateful guy here. I love it. We got some commenters talking about how they agree. Abe says A minus. And I lost the name. Holy cow. Where's that? Arjit said minus. We got, where are they at? Star 7 Lee says B as well. So, you know, we got some that aren't too far off there. So I had sent an email to some of our patrons a few days back asking if they want to join in this live stream. And so we're going to try to see if Avi Chan can come in. He is one of our awesome patrons. And if he's able to join, his picture will pop up and we'll have him join the broadcast for about, 20 minutes or so to share his thoughts. Awi Chan, sorry about that, to share his thoughts on Sacred Games. So if he's able to come in, if the connection's good, then we'll have him talk about it. But I'm ready to answer some of the questions from the comment section based on Sacred Games. We missed some. One I wanted to address that was way earlier on. The question was asked, Gabe, besides Gaitonde, who's your other favorite character in this show?
Bunty. Bunty, man. He's a gangster. I know Sartaj is like the second main lead, but his vulnerability is just something I didn't like. And I get it. Somebody in the chat earlier said, even police officers can get kidnapped, which I agree. Police officers can get kidnapped. They don't all have to be super.
Awi, are you there? Sorry, Gabe. I just added Awi. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I see the screen.
Yeah. His name popped up. I see a screen. He clicked on the link. He did say that there was going to be some issues where he's at. The Wi-Fi is not the best, but we're going to keep up there just for a few seconds. Awi, if you can hear me, if you're not able to come in, exit out and then come back in, and I'll bring you back in the room. But we're going to keep trying as much as we can. We love our patrons. We appreciate how much they do for us in supporting us, and we want to get them more involved in our videos. But sorry, Gabe, keep going.
Bunty, again, I love Bunty. His character, again, for a smaller guy, he was super menacing, which I love. Reminds me of Joe Pesci. So that was pretty cool. I don't know, man. Another character that I really ended up liking. I loved JoJo until the very end, till she betrayed him. I was like, oh my gosh, but she did a really, really good job, and I enjoyed her pain and vulnerability.
Hey, Awi, can you hear us?
Make sure his mic is on.
Yeah, so it should ask you at the beginning when you log in if you want to turn on your it's on my end. Yeah, I can see him playing with it.
And when I say Bunty, I mean Bunty, the dude in the wheelchair, dude. Because they're like, dude, I mean Basani? Nah, he was a punk. I don't like him.
Bonsol's horrible. Arjit, we're going to send you the link in just a few minutes if we can't connect with Awi. I wasn't sure if you're able to do it, but we will send you the link next to see if we can get you in, Arjit. So I haven't sent it to you yet. I will as soon as we're ready to have you join. So for me, I like JoJo a lot too. I really liked that character. For me, it's interesting because I found myself more and more interested in that character. And I thought that was cool, even though we didn't get too much about her. Obviously, Sartaj. I'm a big fan of Sartaj. I think I like Gaitonde's character better. That might surprise Gabe. But I really like the Sartaj character. It was the first thing I've seen Saif Ali Khan in. And I know he's a big-time actor, so I'm excited to see him in other things. I thought he did a great job. I really did in many aspects. I would have liked to know more about what he was thinking, but I really liked that character. For one that might surprise some, I really liked the Mathu character because I liked how loyal he was. He was there from the start. He didn't skip a beat when Gaitonde betrays their first boss, the gold smuggler, and he was with them till the very end. I liked his demeanor. I even liked the fact that he went out on a limb trying to fall in love with that married woman, even though he should have known he was being played just for his seed, so to speak. But those are some of my favorite characters.
Yeah, here's the thing about this season. It's what we talked about when you say you're surprised that Gaitonde is one of my favorite characters. I think that what this did well though is show the other side of what the quote unquote villain. That's why I like movies now. Back in the day, the villains were all very cut and dry, stereotypical, ha ha ha, I want to rule the world. Where now they're giving them backstories, they're giving them real world motivations. I still contend Thanos was right ultimately when you really think about it. You know what I mean? Same thing with Killmonger from Black Panther. Marvel does a great job with their villains, at least lately. You know what I mean? And that's what this series did. They gave this villain a real motivation why he did what he did, but he's just not being a villain to be villain. At the end, we find out he's still a patriot. And you realize, I remember one thing that I cannot remember where I heard it, but
Thanos was not right. He was stupid.
No way. Thanos was right. Listen, that Thanos was right, man. Think about it. It's simple calculus, like he said. There's a lot of mouths to feed, not enough resources. Humanity's destroying itself, etc., etc., etc. The way he went about it was genocide, but still, you understand his motivations. He has a motivation, not just like, I want to destroy the world just because it puts a smile on my face. You know what I mean? Come on, stop it.
He had his plan and he was committed to that plan. And it wasn't just because I want to see everyone die or whatever.
Right.
He had some kind of reason that I can't get behind it, but you can somewhat understand. Now, I just want to give an update. We tried a few times. Sorry, buddy, we couldn't get you in. He said that it's really tough where he lives. So I sent a link out to Arjit. Arjit, if you're listening, go ahead and check your email and click on that link. And if we get you here, we'll have you join. But Arjit, another Patreon. If you want to have a chance to get in one of our live streams like this, all you got to do is join our Patreon. Right now, it's any of our Patreon levels we're giving this access to. And we would love to see all you guys on here.
I agree with a base comment. Malcolm was a badass. Why he killed himself, I have no idea. Why he killed himself. Again, that's what we're talking about.
For the hope to convince Sartaj to join their side. And why do they need Sartaj so much? Why in the world? We have no reason as to why they needed Sartaj. And don't give me this nonsense that they thought Sartaj was going to figure out it was Dilbong Singh's pattern that would end the bomb. I don't want to hear that. Why do they want Sartaj so bad? You're right. Why would Malcolm kill himself for a guy that he tried to, he chopped his thumb off in an earlier episode? It made absolutely no sense to me.
And you know what? Ultimately, if he was concerned that Sartaj was going to figure out the code, he could have popped them right there because Sartaj cannot handle Malcolm. So, several times they've come face to face and Malcolm's always bested him. It says for Issa's story, it concluded like Nawaz got a chance to kill Issa. He failed. When you get a chance to kill your enemy, do it, else he was going to get out of your reach. Issa was a gangster. Issa was a gangster. I loved his demeanor even up into the end. Every time he got a call, it wasn't like he was frantic when he got a call from Gaitonde. He was like, "Oh, Gaitonde, I miss hearing your voice. It's nice to know you're still alive." Like, this guy's a gangster. I loved it.
He was he definitely was a gangster. Someone had said, I think it was Abe, he had said that earlier in the chat that Gaitonde had a chance to take out Issa, but he didn't choose to. I don't remember that part in the show. He had a chance to take out Shahid Khan and chose not to, but I don't see him ever having a chance to take out Issa.
Issa was at that same party, man.
This is Arjit.
What's up, dude?
We can see you. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. That
right
is
out there.
Quite the mustache and beard, man. That is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
We can see you and we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I got a cap like yours. I figured like if I have to be on the live show, then it's given you have to have a hat like that.
Love it. Love it. That's true boring land right there.
Pretty expensive though. It costs me like $15. Like usually you get a cap in India around like $4. It cost me like $15.
Wow. Are a lot of the caps that you get for those $4, are they the fitted kind, like the one you have, or are they the snapback?
No. You usually it's very difficult to get a cap like this. Like I had there's a special website, and like, I think it's the only website who sells caps like these. Otherwise, I went to like 6 or 7 stores. I went to Zara, I went to H&M, but they don't have it.
That's crazy. Yeah, this one cost me about $32. That's about the average price, 28 to 30. You might get lucky on a certain day and get a discount, but they're pricey. They're not cheap.
Nah, Arjit, the only reason I wear a cap is because I'm going bald, man. So I'm trying to cover that up. I don't have a beautiful head of hair like Nick, you know what I mean? So if not, I would be rocking it.
And beautiful head of snowy hair.
I'll take the snowy hair, man. Salt and pepper. The chicks dig it. That and wet naps.
Another thing, I was just listening to you guys, like you were saying, like the Thanos was right. I actually read an article, like what if Thanos have wiped out the 50% population of the world, what would have happened? The thing is, it only would have given us like 40 years, because in 1970s, the population of the world is half of what population of the world is today. So wiping out half of the population is only going to give us like 40 years. In next 40 years, it would have been in the same position from where we are now.
Interesting.
Wow, I've never thought about that. What do you think about that, Gabe?
Well, you know what? Actually, I remember reading somewhere else where the person made the point, well, why didn't he just use the gauntlet if it was powerful to, snap for infinite resources, if that was really what his plan was, because the war was running, or the universe was running scarce on resources. So if you got the infinity gauntlet, you technically could just snap and say infinite resources. But that's a good point, Arjit. That's a good point. I think that what I liked it was that they gave him a motivation, though. You know what I mean? I hate when they have these bad guys in these shows, movies, where they have no motivation and they're just evil for evil's sake, like Dr. Evil and Austin Powers. You know what I mean? He was just evil because he was born evil. Nobody's born evil. These guys have motivations, and if you give them those motivations, it makes for a better and more compelling story. You know what I mean?
There's actually a movie. I think it's Peter Pan or something. I don't really exactly remember. But the villain over there, like he goes into a single room and then he cries, and then somebody there, he like motivates him. I don't exactly remember what that movie is, but that stuck to me. Like I think I'd never seen that. Like a bad guy is going into the room and like crying because like his henchmen are not listening to him, or things are not going according to his plan or something.
Right.
The thing is, in most of the movies, the bad men always laugh, and that doesn't make sense. Like he must also have insecurities in him, and he also must be going through phases. Like so, you don't always see that thing. But when I saw that the bad guy is crying, I thought like this is wonderful. Like I've never seen that before.
No, that's cool. I think a lot of filmmakers, they are not willing to trust the audience. They feel like if you give the villain any kind of human quality, then they're going to join their side, which, for Gabe, he's all about that. But I don't feel like they have enough guts to trust the villains to be normal people. Now, on a side, I just want to say, me and Gabe are kind of fanning out right now, Arjit, because you've been with us since the beginning. It's so cool to actually see you on the live stream, to hear you talk. We really appreciate you supporting Boring Land since the beginning. For everyone listening, he was the guy that requested our Ishq video, which has so many views on it. I mean, who would have thought that? And so many other great videos. We just want to say thanks a lot, Arjit, for being you. You're the man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I actually requested the video to like a couple of other channels. I only watch Jabi Koe's channel, and there's one more other I used to watch, then I stopped watching it, and nobody actually reacted on it. And I was like, this is one of the best experiences of my life. I think, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13, I went into the theater, and everybody literally was like falling off their seats when the scene was on. And I think there was like 400 people in the theater, and I never had that experience ever again. And I thought like, so this that scene has a special like place in my heart, and I really wanted some channel to react on it. So when you like said like to be a Patreon, you can request your videos. I thought immediately I went on Patreon and figured out. I didn't have the credit card, but somehow I figured out how to become Patreon. I set up a PayPal account, and then I become a Patreon. And I really like, initially I saw a couple of bad comments on that video, and it really broke my heart. Like I thought, oh my God, what if like people don't like it? And eventually it went on to become such a big hit on the channel. So I'm really glad about it.
Definitely. And I mean, sometimes you put yourself out where, hey, I may like something, somebody else may not like something. Sup, Jody? Oh, special guest appearance.
Say hi, since you got like 3 people on here.
But a lot of times it's okay to put yourself out there like that, because sometimes people like it, sometimes people won't. It's funny, Nick, a couple minutes ago we're talking about how a lot of directors are afraid to give a bad guy or a villain any relatable qualities, because when you do, you're gonna get backlash. Look at what happened with Joker, man. Joker caused so much controversy, at least here in the States, because it was like, oh, you're glorifying violence and you're glorifying anarchy and this and that. And it was like, are you serious? Calm down, people. It's a movie. You know what I mean? So going back to you saying how villains should also cry as opposed to laughing earlier, I agree with you, because, they have insecurities, and that was what Joaquin Phoenix did so well in Joker. He showed how one becomes the villain, how one gets to that point. And a lot of it has to do with those insecurities and, society beating you down and things of that nature, man. But I enjoyed this video. And a lot of times I make comments. I put I still, because I'm a big comic book fan, I always defend Heath Ledger, Jared Leto's Joker, and everybody kills me for it. But guess what? I don't care.
He was awful.
Look at Jody. See, I get killed for it all the time, but it's all right, man. It's all right. It was awesome for us. You got any questions for Jody?
Probably not.
I think he's frozen right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it looks pretty. The background's all nice and sunny.
Oh, it's daytime over there. I know. It was weird when he came on at first, because I was like, look at the background.
Yeah, the situation over here is like kind of those films like zombie movie where all the streets are empty and everything is. It's actually pretty crazy. Let me just show you. You will not see many people, and otherwise like the streets are filled with people throughout the day, but it's like so empty. It's almost scary at the night.
You know what?
Weird.
That's scary.
That is.
Like, I can only see a few people.
When did the lockdown go in effect for you guys? It was like 2 days ago, right?
You're good.
Yeah, officially it was 2 days ago, but I think it's past 1 week. Everybody is staying in the room. I think office closed like 10 days from before today. So
I mean, we're practicing.
It's 10th day, I think.
10th day. We're practicing social distancing, but the streets aren't that bare, right, Jody? When you go out, you still see people.
Gabe came over briefly earlier today, and no offense, but I Lysol'd everything after you left. I was like, you go through a bunch of Lysol wipes. I was like, yeah, gotta get rid of those germs.
I literally went from the front door to the restroom back outside, man. Jody was like, all right, 6 feet. But our streets aren't that bare, but you can notice. I mean, we live in Vegas, man, and traffic is normally a nightmare. It takes on the expressway, it takes no matter where you're at, probably 30 minutes. I got around town today in like 10, 15 minutes. It didn't matter where I was going. It was ridiculous. There's nobody's on the streets.
And if you see the strip, it's like dead. There's no cars, no people. I mean, when you drive down the Las Vegas strip, you go like Gabe, you drive down all the time. There are people just cutting in front of you all the time. You just walking the streets, you can't drive. And now there's nobody anywhere. Like it's creepy. It feels like it's abandoned.
It's like like Arjit just said, it feels like a movie, zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse, yep.
Ebe says boring land.
Yeah, it looks like
Nick's on his way back.
really did something over here.
Repeat that.
I was cutting a little bit. I didn't hear you.
Is that a crow in the background? Sounds like a bird.
Yeah, there are a lot of crows and eagles over here. I think the nature is claiming its spot. There are a lot of animals who I think enjoying this period because they can roam around freely, and a lot of I don't usually see these amount of birds, but now the population of birds really increasing. I can hear them a lot. I usually on the traffic, I can't hear them that much, but in these days particularly, I can hear them so clearly because there is not much noise from the traffic.
That makes sense.
Well, I read somewhere that one of the unexpected consequences of social distancing is that in China, where the whole thing began, there's they usually have a lot of smog out there, a lot of pollution. And now you've got blue skies out there because nobody's going anywhere. They're locked down. And they're somebody was commenting and I think it was 4chan, something like that you could actually see the sky. It's no longer gray because of, they've been locked down for 2 months. You're going to get rid of a lot of pollution.
Yeah, it's definitely allowing the earth to
I'm actually really enjoying this period. And I also read in an article where they were saying eventually businesses will figure out how to work online in the future. In the future you'll be able to work from your home a lot. A lot of businesses will do that.
Yeah, this is definitely fast forward that for sure. Now, I don't want to change the topic too much, but I do want to know your thoughts on Sacred Games Season 2. So Arjit, let us know what your thoughts are. You can stick around.
I liked it. I know there are a lot of questions which are unanswered. I was actually a bit confused with the Sartaj and Shahid Khan's relation because what I understand is the girl who was abducted during the partition, she was sick. So she got married into a Muslim family. So that was a bit confusing. I didn't buy it that much. I thought if somebody in that particular period would get abducted, they would definitely get killed after they done whatever they wanted to do, and they eventually killed that person. So she got married into a family, and then I didn't buy it that much, and that didn't make any sense. To show Shahid Khan and Sardar saying, what was his name?
I think Singh.
Whatever, those two as cousins. So that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Apart from that, I really like that show. But what I personally think the director wanted to make a political statement with what is happening in India right now, because right now we have a right-wing government. So I think a lot of people also got offended by it. There was a particular scene where a Hindu mob beats up a Muslim kid, and I think a lot of people got offended by that, and that's why there are a lot of negative reviews. Same thing happened to Family Man. A lot of people got offended, and they thought that the Family Man is showing India in a bad light when the soldiers in the Kashmir region, so certain things I don't want to go to. But a lot of people got offended, and that's why there are a lot of backlash online regarding these shows, and that's why there are a lot of people saying this is rubbish and this is this or that. But I think just from the point of view, from the art, I think it was pretty good. It was definitely not as good as first season maybe, but I liked it. I binged it. I whenever episode stopped, I couldn't wait to I didn't thought I should wait some days and then watch another episode. I just binged it all through it. So I thought that is a sign when you actually like the show, you usually do that. There are many shows where I started and I stopped. I remember House of Cards. I was really interested in the starting 3 to 4 seasons, I was really invested in it, but then it got bored, and I eventually stopped it. I never saw the last season of House of Cards because I just lost interest in it.
Right.
So it didn't happen to me in this season. So
I had that happen to me with a few shows. Most recently, it was Walking Dead, man. Like they just jumped the shark on that show, and I'm like a season and a half behind. You know what I mean? Like, oh, come on. But
probably 2 or 3 seasons behind.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They jumped the shark on me, man. But I see your point.
Arjit, you make a great point on the wanting to watch the next episode, because I think in season 2, I was more excited to watch each episode than season 1. But at the same time, with season 2, we have this whole social distancing, working from home, less travel, less homework to do at nighttime. And so I had more time to dedicate to that show. So I don't know. I still think season 1 was more of an impact for me. I don't think season 2 was garbage at all. I didn't like the season finale. I'm one of the people that likes to have that closure there, but you make some great points. Family Man, I thought, was a super well show. I thought that it didn't make India look bad in any kind of light. I thought when I watched this show, I was like, wow, this is a serious show. I liked how they mirrored each episode to a different real life story in some way. Again, the music, when that show was over, it got me so pumped up. I wanted to watch the next episode. That show was awesome.
Dude, here's the thing. I think as a director, you got to be brave and just do what you want to do. And I mean, I know a lot of times they're concerned about backlash, but if that's the story you're telling,
I wanted to ask when it's coming.
Go for it.
I did like I think
unfortunately it's cutting out right now, Arjit. Hopefully we'll get you back, but we didn't get a chance to hear that question.
Yeah, when he comes back, we'll ask him for the question.
They keep mentioning Ben Affleck in the chat room, Gabe.
I started the controversy. I love it. But he's dark, man, and that's what I like the way about how Ben Affleck played it. He played it really, really dark. But going back to Arjit's comment about why people didn't like it, man. The same thing happened with Joker. Now, funny enough, Joker made $1 billion, dude, but it got so much backlash. And when that happens, it's like, are you guys calm down? It's a movie. It's a show. It's not meant to necessarily, unless it's saying this is a documentary or this is real life, take it for what it is. It's art, you know?
Yeah. And, it blows my mind because on one hand, we watch these shows that deal with seriously dark material with, whatever it is. I don't want to say all the words because YouTube may not like the words that I say, but serious dark stuff. And no one has a problem with it. People are all about it. Like The Sopranos, that was a super popular show. I can't think of too many people that were complaining. And that's talking about mobsters killing people. But when you have shows like The Joker, they choose those certain shows and they say, oh, this one's bad, though. This one's glorifying violence. There was a video I just watched this morning where Quentin Tarantino, local movie review lady, who just tears him apart on the news channel. They bring her on as a guest, and she tears him apart for, violence and how does he allow violence, and he's got a responsibility to the kids. And he's like, no, I don't. He's like, the parents are the ones who are going to decide to take their kid to the movie or not. And if they take him, I'm telling them it's a good movie. They should watch it. And she was going off and calling him irresponsible, and he handled it really well. The people that she sent back to the news anchors, they didn't seem like they appreciated that too much because they had the celebrity on their show. But I don't understand why people choose that. I myself have high morals. I have high standards. I know you do, Gabe. We are family men. We don't want certain things in our home. We protect our kids from certain things, but we can see the difference between entertainment and real life. I mean, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's like the argument, Savannah's currently writing a paper for one of her classes about the video game industry and how it's getting blamed for violence. You know what I mean? First person shooter games, supposedly a lot of these mass shooters play them, whatever. And, when you do the research, you find out that just like one time movies were being blamed. And even remember when they were banning books in schools, Catcher in the Rye was banned because it was affecting morality. It's just moral panic, man. It's politicians putting stuff out there.
Dude, Harry Potter was banned by so many parents because it involves magic. Look at how popular that book is. I mean, you've got to be, these people are nuts. I remember the first time I read Harry Potter to my class, we would read like a chapter a day or something like that. I actually sent emails for permission from parents because I was worried for the backlash. And I never had one person say, please don't read it. But I mean, you got to be kidding me. It was super cool to have Arjit on the stream here. He's going to try to come back in. If he is, then we're going to let him back in because we want to get that question and hear some more of his thoughts on Sacred Games. But I have an interesting question for you, Gabe. We've seen Family Man, we've seen Mirzapur, and we've seen Sacred Games. We've watched all seasons that they have for us so far. What is your ranking of those three shows from least to best? Now, they're all really good, but what's your three? What rank?
I'm going to go Mirzapur, Sacred Games, Family Man.
So which one's number one?
Number one? Come on, Mirzapur, bro.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going 3-1 or 1-3.
No, Mirzapur is number one, and Sacred Games number two. Again, even though I love Nawaz's acting, but I have to put him up there. And then finally, I go with Family Man. Family Man was great, but I like the other two contents. It's more up my alley. But we didn't get your question, Arjit. You were breaking up last time, so you were trying to get a question out.
Yeah, I was actually asking Nick, like when his the second part of his book is coming. I read the Legend of Sturgis Braha, I think 3 months back. So I was just asking, like when the second part is coming.
I love that question. You know I do. So I finished writing the first draft of it years ago, but I kind of dragged my feet. I allowed the fact that it didn't go too far with the publisher kind of bring me down a little bit, even though I finished writing it. And then in some ways, it's been a good thing. So I've been able to tweak a few things that I think is better now. But I'm in the editing process, and I hate editing. I'm not really good at it, and it's such a slow process. The second book is almost 500 pages long, so it takes a while to edit it. But in the second book, we dive deeper into those main characters. We get a few new characters in there. We dive a lot more deeper into Dane as a villain and what his intentions are. But you also get some other villains that are maybe challenging Dane in his spot. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read the first book, obviously, but I love that question. I'm not sure if you are good at editing, because if you want to help me edit, then I can give you a sneak peek of it and you can help me go through it just to make sure that, grammatically and all that kind of stuff is correct. But that's something we can definitely talk about later on. But I love that question. Hopefully soon. I just got to get to actually editing it.
RJ, it's like the Snyder cut. You know what I mean? It's out there, but it's not out there yet.
The title? The title is The Discoveries of Sturgis Braha. So in this book, he discovers a lot about his past and a lot about different relationships that he has, not really romantic relationships, but just friendships. And so I thought that was the most appropriate title, The Discoveries.
I was saying, Nick, your book, the second, it's like the Snyder cut. It's out there, but it's not done yet. He's still tweaking it.
Yeah, it's no one knows but this crazy mind right now. But I really like that question. That's cool. I've got to get it, and with this whole
I was saying
block, I have more time.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you, Arjit.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
yeah,
the thing is, I was saying, like, when I requested the scene from Pyar Ka Panchnaama, the Rajat epic scene, so there were a lot of comments, like, to react on the second version of it, like from the second movie. So there was no subtitles on that video, so I tried making subtitles, and for like a couple of hours, and I went crazy. Then I figured out like how difficult it is to actually create subtitles for any video, and I wish I could do it, but I couldn't do it. Like, it was so hard and so confusing to make subtitles, even though I got all the subtitles from the internet, and I just had to change the timing of it, but it was so difficult. I tried for like a couple of hours, but I couldn't do it, and I quit.
Dude, it's a tough task. I hear you, bro. It's a tough task.
Yeah, the subtitles that take a long time. Luckily, I do everything on my phone, the editing and everything. So luckily, I can just if the YouTube video has the subtitles, I just do scene by scene and I just type out what it says right there. And I'm sure it's off by a little bit. I'm just listening when they're talking at that point and put those words in. Definitely not easy. I don't know how I'd be able to do it for somebody else and send them that video because the file is so large. But we appreciate you trying because it's not easy to do. And it definitely takes a lot longer. It's so much easier just to put the reaction out there without the subtitles. But putting those subtitles, I feel like, especially with the video we dropped tonight on Zulfikar being a Bengali film, I figured there's not a lot of people that are our audience that maybe knows that language. And so I had to throw the subtitles on that one.
What's my favorite rom-com?
I think it's specifically with the
Go
ahead, bro.
No, I was saying like I think it's especially with I think Hindi speaking people who are really interested in reaction videos. I don't know what with it. Like I don't see Chinese people really eagerly waiting for reaction videos for their films, or I don't see Japanese people eagerly waiting to somebody to react on their movie. I don't know what is with us. I think about it a lot of time, like what makes us really interested, like when somebody is like reacting on our movies. I want to figure this out. I want to know like why I am so interested in this kind of thing. And obviously I'm not only person. There are tons of people, Hindi speaking people, who are really interested, like when other people react on our movies. I want to know what is the real reason behind it.
You know, I discovered reaction videos about 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember I didn't tell anyone that I would watch reaction videos because I was so embarrassed that I was watching someone else watch a trailer that I already knew what happened in that trailer. But for some reason, when you're so excited about a movie like an Avengers or anything like that that you're excited for and it comes out, for me, the day that trailer drops is like a holiday. And I'm so excited to watch about 5 or 6 times. Me and Gabe will text each other like, hey, you know the new trailer's out? Watch it. And then for me to watch people's reactions at certain reveals or whatever makes me relive that excitement of watching a trailer. But I used to, no joke, like go in my bathroom and watch a reaction so Jody wouldn't make fun of me. But then I realized that other people like reactions as well. And so I was able to come out of that closet, so to speak, and tell people I like watching reaction videos. I never thought I'd be making reaction videos, that's for sure. But for some reason, it's just so much fun to watch. I watch them all the time.
Well, I think it's also true of, India and America have the two biggest movie, platforms, bottom line, Bollywood and Hollywood. And we're really into films in both places because you can see American reactions get the same. I've spent hours watching trailers and trailer reactions. I must have seen the Endgame trailer reaction probably 100 times. Same thing for Infinity War and Tenet. I've watched that trailer probably 50 times. You know what I mean? So I think that one of the things we do, we get excited about movies that we like because we want some affirmation as well. Like, oh, if I like it, I hope other people like it because everybody wants to be in the in group, so to speak. You know what I mean? We all want to keep up with the Joneses, and it's hard to hear when you like something that other people don't like it. Like, wow, what did I miss there? But for me, it's that to make sure that other people are excited about what I like. For if anything else, so that it keeps getting made. Like one of my biggest fear with comic book movies, and I'm a big comic book nerd, bro. But it's that there's so many of them out there. People are gonna get burned out on them, and then the studios are gonna stop making them. And it's like, oh, I love the reading comic books, I love the cartoons, but there's nothing like live action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I think when you like a movie, I think that's when you want to share it with many people. There are movies from even 60s, which I am really excited. And at some point, I want you to request you to react on them as well. Like I'm even crazier about the old movies as well. Like I think 90s was my favorite era. If you ask me, like I think 90s was the awesome time, which probably never going to get back. And many people at today's generation, think like don't like those movies, and I don't know why. Because I personally think that my favorite movies are from the 90s era, like Shawshank Redemption, also from 90s. Andaz Apna Apna and Dumb and Dumber. all of them are from 90s. I think 90s was my favorite era. And a lot of people like clown me for liking the movies from 90s, but I love them.
Oh no, bro! Listen, come on. The '90s had some gems in them. You talking about Silence of the Lambs, which I had put in. I think that was in my top 10 of all time.
That movie's too dark for me, man.
Super dark, you know what I mean? But Silence of the Lambs, Goodfellas, Scarface. I mean, some really good actors.
Even Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. You mentioned Dumb and Dumber. I love those. The Mask. Those movies were movies that I grew up on. Ace Ventura. I mean, I think the reason why people don't like 90 films, and I've noticed watching, the Ishq reaction and a few other did the reaction for Andaz Apna. And what I noticed was the quality in the film itself was so different in 90s in cinema from those few movies and what's coming out today. I mean, you look at an Indian film as far as quality of the video itself, there's no difference between that and Hollywood films. I feel like the 90s in Indian cinema was a little different. Today we have this horrible concept that something does not hold up, therefore it's not good. The special effects don't hold up, therefore it's not good. And I hate that concept because there are still some really good movies from the 70s, the 60s, the 80s, the 90s that, yes, the special effects are horrible, but it's not the special effects, it's the story itself. For some people have this notion that if it doesn't hold up, it's just not worth your time. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of really good movies out there that they don't hold up, but they're really, really good.
Actually, you will be surprised to know, like in the 60s and in the 70s, there was a lot of content-driven movies in India and in the Bollywood, which were appreciated all over the world. When suddenly, like 80s come, we made really bad movies in the 80s. I think 80s was the worst period in the Indian cinema. Then 90s came, some new directors came, and it was like more of a comedy movies era. And then after Lagan, when Lagan went to the Oscars, to the top 5, after then, I guess this new era started in Indian cinema when really like people started making some really serious world-class movies where they know like we had to, go global at some point. There was a TED Talk. It wasn't a TED Talk. It was a Josh Talk, the Indian version of TED Talk, where Anurag Kashyap, the director of Sacred Games and Gangs of Wasseypur, he was invited to speak, and he made some really good points. He explained why Indian cinema hasn't really, reached, like, made a peak in the global stage because Indian producers don't know how to sell their movies in the West. Like, they just concentrate on the price. Like, they want to sell it immediately and like get the money. Like, they don't know how to build an audience over there. And that's where Anurag Kashyap and people like Amir Khan are doing a really good job. Like, they know how to sell a movie. Like, Amir Khan had made such a huge fan following in China right now. Like, his movies like Three Idiots and Dangal had created, a really wide range of market for Indian movies. And after Dangal, like Andhadhun got released in China, in Japan, and Bajrangi Bhaijaan got released there, and they made like more money over there than these movies made money in India. So I think Bollywood movies have a lot of potential. Like all movies, like movies from South, movies from Bengal film industries, like we have such amazing talent, but I don't feel right that they don't get the due. I think we can give tough fight to the Hollywood. I'm not saying that we can overtake Hollywood because Hollywood has so much resources and they are really talented people over there. Like people like I don't remember his name, like the guy who made Memento and Prestige.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. I think he's on some another level. Like the way he thinks and the way he describes the story. I thought like when I saw The Dark Knight, I was like, I never feared a villain. I was like, the Joker can do anything, and like the police, the whole government just can't do anything. Like the way he thinks, like the way Joker plans the thing. I was like, wow, this guy, like, how can you defeat him? Even a guy, I would find it hard to defeat him. So when I saw Christopher Nolan, when I saw Prestige, I was like so confused for over an hour and suddenly something clicked to me, and I was like, wow, the way the story is described is so wonderful. And when I see Memento, I never saw a movie like Memento. It was so hard but you really have to be in that movie to really see what's going on, because the way it's the screenplay of that movie.
Right. The
So
way
I
it's
thought
filmed is crazy.
that movie was great.
No, you're definitely absolutely right. And Christopher Nolan's in a league of his own. And the interesting thing, going to the Hollywood take real quick, is when he did Memento, that was more of an indie project and he had more control. Then he did Insomnia. I'm not a fan of Insomnia. I've watched it a few times. I just don't get it, but I feel like that was his movie where there's a lot of studio control. But he made enough money off that to be able to do Batman Begins, and then he took the control back. And that's the biggest problem in Hollywood right now is the studio interference. Going back to your Bollywood point, and not just Bollywood, but Bengali films and Tamil films and Telugu films, Kannada films, I feel like now that I'm engrossed in these Indian films, that there's not a huge disconnect between Hollywood films and Indian films as far as quality. The problem is here in the States, they're just not advertised whatsoever. If it wasn't for YouTube, I would never know how awesome these films were. And if I didn't like the films, I wouldn't watch them. I wouldn't do reviews on them. I would just do reactions because it's easy to do reactions. But we truly are loving these films and these TV series because they're so well made. It's a shame that here in Las Vegas, a huge city, one theater is playing that movie at only 3 times, and it's so far away from where we live. I don't understand why Indian movies aren't sold better here in the States, because if they were, then they would just absolutely explode.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the marketing too, because like we talked about how with Indian films, they drop the trailer and then that movie's in the theaters a month later, 2 months later, where here in the United States, they're building up the movie for a year, you know what I mean? Before they actually, couple trailers, couple teaser trailers, and then they drop it. But back to your point, Nick, we wanted to go watch a movie, and what did we get? Baggy 3, right? But some of the smaller films that might have been better weren't released, and we weren't able to see them. I will tell you this, Arjit, what you saw at the Oscars though this year with Parasite winning, kind of, in my opinion, was the crossing of the guard, where now, I mean, that thing swept so many Oscars, not just international film, but best overall. I think that people have finally started to notice that, okay, there's talent elsewhere. So you're going to see more and more movies from Bollywood, from Tollywood, from everywhere, really start getting the notoriety and recognition it gets.
I hope it's not just a flash in the pan. I want to mention Abe's super chat. Thanks so much, Abe, for the super chat. He says to check Kaki. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It's got Big B, Akshay, and Ajay. Arjit, have you seen this film?
Kaki is a police uniform. Yeah, I've seen it. It's really good. Actually, the director of this movie is the same director who directed Andaz Apna Apna and many really hit movies from the 90s. It's a cop movie.
Okay, cool. So we'll definitely have to check that out. Thanks, Abe, for that request. And it's cool to have someone that's seen the movie. How do I pronounce that title, Arjit?
Khaki. Khaki is actually the color of the police uniform.
Okay.
Oh, kind of like khaki. We would call that khaki, the color of the police uniform.
Khaki.
So khaki. Okay, khaki. Okay, similar pronunciation. Got you.
Cocky makes me think of Han Solo, being overconfident. Cocky.
Star 7 I says, that's why I feel blessed living in Toronto. Indian movies are playing in many theaters. Yeah, you know what? If you look in our area, right, Go on AMC, you see cool. Where what do we have last year? I would say probably 5 or 6 big ones that actually went to the movie theater. And like you said, there was 2 or 3 times, but that's it. Look at how many movies actually came out last year. You know what I mean? Yeah, and crazy. It's the model's going to change, because I think that look at what happened with Parasite. After one of those awards, then it got played back in the movie theater, and we saw several play times for it. But when it first came out, I never saw Parasite even advertised here. I don't remember seeing it at the movie theaters, and we're at the movie theaters every single week, Nick. You know what I mean? So we're going to start seeing the change into the guard soon.
Not no more.
I'll tell you that. Better that than some of the crap we got last year. Holy cow. We had some disagreements on some movies, but again, I'm a comic book fan. I wanted to do a review on Hellboy, and Nick was like, no, don't do it. Because I was so angry at that movie. They were going to send, guys in masks from the studio to my house because I was going to trash it so bad. Oh, it was so bad. Oh, so bad. Anything but that.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Arjit, when I went to see Boggy 3, obviously I was the only non-Indian, I want to say, that was in the theater. And there was only about 50 of us in there, but I noticed there was about 3 or 4 different families, full-on families with young kids, ages from 1 to 8 and then older. Is that a typical thing where in India, the whole family goes together, young and old, to watch these movies when they come out?
I actually, you were cutting. I didn't hear your question. Can you please repeat?
When Indians go and watch movies in the theaters, is it the whole family affair? Because when I saw Boggy 3, there was the entire family, ages 0 to 13 with the parents. Is that a typical thing where the whole family goes together?
It used to be, but now the thing is, like 10 years before, like the content of the movie was super clean, so the whole family used to go and watch movies. But now the thing is, a lot of movies come where families don't feel very comfortable, watching it together. So, but if it is a Salman Khan movie, because Salman Khan movies are always super clean, so it's always like that's why Salman Khan movies make good business, because the whole family goes. Even if they don't like Salman Khan, that's the only option they get to see the movie with their family, because the content was going to be super clean and there's nothing going to be anything vulgar or anything like that. But it used to be a thing in the 90s and early 2000s, but not anymore. I think more of the college kids and office colleagues go together to watch movies. And there are some times you see families, but I don't think this is a big thing now. It used to be.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is here too. Usually it's the younger people. I don't know if me and Gabe are young, but people our age to teenage age, they go with their friends. They don't so much go with their families. Now, another question I have is, here in Hollywood, or not here in Hollywood, but in Hollywood here in the States, we have a lot of animated films. I have yet to see any animated films that are Indian made. Do they exist, or are they just not too popular?
Now, there was one animated movie which was produced by Yash Raj Banner. I think it was on a dog, but it bombed, I guess. And then I don't remember any other animated movie came out from India. I don't really think like Indian audiences are really interested in watching animated movies created by Indian filmmakers.
That's interesting, because that's a great
They're
way
more
for
interested in
families to
something
watch
like
them.
Shrek. If a part of Shrek coming, probably gonna see it.
All right. Well, we are getting close to our 2-hour mark, so I just want to personally say thanks, Arjit, for joining our live stream. We are going to end our stream here. Thanks everyone that has shown up. Gabe, any final words?
Arjit, man, thanks for the suggestion. Thanks for Ishq, man. It did a lot of good for the channel. We appreciate it. Thanks for being a Patreon. Boring Review Nation. I heard a couple of you guys out there, Boring Land today. It's all right. Some days it's Boring Land. Sometimes it's Boring Review Nation.
It's always Boring Land, friend.
Next, they asked us the next
I'm gonna
thing
start
we're
my
gonna
own
do.
Boring Planet.
Boring Planet. I love it.
Getting bigger. I love it.
But our next is going to be 375. Nick already watched it. He was just waiting on me. So next review we're going to do is 375, section 375. And then after that, whatever else is on the docket. I have to get around to watching, is it Baja Barani, the one
Bajan?
Yeah, I got to get around to watching that. I'm going to do a super review. A super review. My reviews are always super. I'm gonna do a solo review. That's why I went out and got the mic so like that the sound quality could be better. But and then as always, we just go off the suggestion, go off the content, see what happens. Right now in day 9 of the lockdown, we're watching content. We're probably gonna review an American show too, series that's relatively new, called For Life. And it's really, really good. It's a not a courtroom drama. What would you call it, Nick? It's more of
a man who is wrongfully in prison and he becomes a lawyer in the prison system, and he's trying to fight his way out, and he's going against corrupt attorney generals and whatnot, DAs and all that stuff. It's actually really good. It's on ABC. I have YouTube TV, so it's available on there. You guys should check it out. Arjit, we're going to let you sign us off today. So any way you want to say goodbye to Boring Land, it's up to you, my friend.
No, I just want to thank you for having me, and it was really nice to talk. I was kind of a little nervous because to be on the internet, but I really enjoyed the chat. And thank you for like reacting on most of my requests. I think you reacted more than 10 of my requests, and I have lots of requests. I have to like keep myself, down, and like I don't want to spam you with so many requests, but whenever I request, I like get very excited. Every day I woke up and like I wonder like are they gonna like post a video of my request or not? And when it happens, I get really excited and like a kid. So, and I really enjoy your channel. I enjoy the conversations you have on your reviews. So thanks for entertaining us.
Appreciate that.
You are so welcome anytime, and keep those requests coming in because a lot of our patrons right now, they're not really taking advantage of it. So you just keep them coming, my friend, because we need those golden requests. But we appreciate that. That makes me feel so good. I know it makes Gabe feel pretty good. Just pretty good, not really good. But let's see if Arjit can do it. Until next time.
Adios.
Yeah, I love it.
We know all things.
Bye, guys.
Bye.